Welcome back to episode 2 of Samantha's semi-professional bike checks, where mistakes make the ride better. Today we're going to be diving into the jack of all trades, my Canyon Torque AL.
Rolling in smooth, yeah, she's ready to ride. Samantha Soriano got that style and that pride. Semi-pro bike check, let's break it all down. Canyon dialed in, best setup in town. Grip it, rip it, send it right. Every bolt tight, every line just right. From the bars to the brakes, she's got that flow. Semi-pro setup, let's go, let's go.
To kick it off, I'm riding the size small, and I decided to leave this version mulleted. The aim of this bike is to have it be more of my bike park, all-around bike that I could do really anything on. The AL version has a reach of 435, whereas the CF has a reach of 440. I wasn't sure if I would notice the 5mm difference, but I can say that I definitely did. It felt way poppy, way more playful. I didn't really feel like I had to muscle the bike around as much. I was a little nervous with it being aluminum that the weight would make it harder to feel those things, but honestly, it felt so great my first couple of rides. Now, obviously we know I love purple, but I decided to go with the raw colorway this time and do red as my theme. It's nice to be able to shake it up sometimes and also have the raw colorway. You can take it any direction you want, and I think that's super great with customization, but also just simplicity as well. Jumping straight into suspension, I'm running the Marzocchi. Also, I figured out that it's Marzocchi instead of Marzocchi, so thanks for that, Will. Jumping into suspension, I'm running the Marzocchi Super Z. This is 180mm of travel, and I'm running 57 PSI with just however many stock volume spacers. For high and low speed compression, I'm running 6 clicks from closed on both and 14 clicks from closed on my rebound. Now, fun fact, I actually learned how to count my clicks this week, so big win for me. Now, a common theme throughout my entire riding career is that I tend to not really notice or pick up on changes in my bike, but I do have to say I did pick up on how strong the fork felt with the thicker stanchions. I rode the Super Z and as well as the Z1, but riding this fork in the desert, it felt very strong, very supportive. It really felt like I was riding a dual crown fork, but obviously it's a single crown, so very stoked on how it felt. For my rear shock, I'm running my tried and true Marzocchi Bomber Air. This has 175mm of travel, and I'm running it with 160 PSI, 9 clicks from closed on my rebound, and about 120-degree turn from closed on my compression. I set up this rear shock the same as I have it on my purple Torque. I'm planning on riding the same features for both, and obviously I'm very comfortable with how my rear shock feels on my purple bike, so wanted that to translate over to this bike. Now, this was my first rear shock and hardware I had ever swapped by myself. Feel free to check out my series on TikTok called Mechanic in the Making. I swapped successfully this rear shock and hardware and my fork. Moving into my cockpit, we have my ruby red Raceface Atlas bars and my Raceface turbine stem. My Atlas bars are 35mm rise and my turbine stem is 32mm length, and I'm running about 1 inch of spacers under my stem along with the higher rise bars to help bring my bars closer to me to make me feel more in control over the front end. Same as always, I'm running the Raceface Chester grips in size small. I decided to go with red grip clamps this time to tie in the whole red theme. For wheels, I'm running the Raceface Atlas wheels, and as I previously mentioned, I decided to keep this bike as a mullet setup. I have to be honest, I was definitely pretty surprised at the speed difference between the mullet setup in comparison to my dual 27.5 Torque. I felt like I was a race car. I think the mullet setup will just take some getting used to, especially for me and riding it out in the desert with just the speed variances. But I have to say, I definitely enjoyed going a little bit faster, even though it definitely took me off guard. But overall, I love the way that these wheels feel. I've been very, very, very happy with them. And here's the front wheel. Also Raceface Atlas, but 29. Love this setup. No thoughts, no words. Same as my Torque CF, I'm running the Continental Kryptotal tires. I'm running the Enduro casing in the soft compound, and I run about 23 PSI in the front. And for the rear, I'm running also a Continental Kryptotal tire. I'm running the Kryptotal front, both front and rear. I will probably switch to the rear in the future, but wanted to test out this tire combination and see how it felt. I am running the downhill casing in super soft compound, and I run about 25 PSI in the rear. Now, I'm pretty new to running Continental tires, but these past couple of months, I have been blown away with how good they feel. I feel like I'm in control through all of the steeps, and they're just really confidence-inducing. Break it down. Break it down. I'm running the Shimano SLX. For brakes, I'm running the Shimano SLX. I'm running a 220 rotor in the front and a 203 rotor in the wheel. For brakes, I'm running the Shimano SLX brakes. I'm running a 220 rotor in the front and a 203 rotor in the rear. Honestly, I have no idea what pads are in there, but they work great. And for drivetrain, I am running the Shimano 12-speed drivetrain that comes stock on this bike. I've got the Shimano SLX derailleur, the XT cranks in 170 millimeters, and the Shimano SLX derailleur shifter. I kept the brakes and the drivetrain stock, and I don't really have any strong thoughts or opinions about either other than they work, and that's the most important thing. Moving into the finer details of the bike, I am running the Race Face Atlas pedals in red. As I stated in the last episode, I always put the little metal shims that come under the pins to make them a little bit shorter. This bike originally came with gray logos, but I really wanted to make everything I could red, so I decided to do some red sparkly vinyl logos, as well as a red sparkly jack card. I wanted to do something fun for this bike, and I truly believe that it's the jack of all trades, so I wanted to do a jack card. I feel like you can ride this bike wherever, whenever as well. You can pedal it, you can go do big free ride stuff. Really, the world is your oyster with the Torque AL. And this is the stock Canyon dropper post. It's 150 millimeters, does great for my short legs. And my last piece of this bike is my I Can Do It sticker, which I haven't cut yet, but click the link in the description to get your very own I Can Do It sticker. And that concludes my Canyon Torque AL. Honestly, I wasn't sure how much I was gonna like this bike in comparison to my CF, but honestly, I have been very, very, very pleasantly surprised. Thanks so much for joining me on the second episode of Samantha's semi-professional bike checks. And remember, mistakes make the ride better, and we'll see you next time.
Samantha's bike check. Let's go.